Hello, everyone. Welcome to the October 5th, I think. Yeah, October 5th, Kubernetes 120 release meeting. My name is Jeremy. I am the release lead for this cycle. This meeting is recorded, so please be mindful of what you say. The meeting will appear on YouTube. And of course, this meeting is covered by the Kubernetes Code of Conduct, which can be summarized as be excellent to one another. So let's go ahead and kick things off with enhancements.
Hi, this is Kirsten, the enhancements lead. I have our status as yellow, but it's really green because you get in what you get in by the deadline. Tomorrow is enhancements freeze, which means that any enhancement that isn't going to be tracked after tomorrow won't be in the 1.20 release. We have 39 tracked right now, so those are ones that are definitely going forward towards code freeze. We have 30 at risk, which means that they said they wanted to go into 120, but they're missing something in their KEP. A good portion of them still have PRs out that are like complete, so they just have to get merged by the end of the day tomorrow, which I think a good handful of them will. We have 43 untracked, which means that they told us that it's just not going to be in this release, which is actually a good number. Usually people don't respond. 19 deferred, which means like they want to be in a different release. 30 pending and 14 unresponsive, so about 44 unresponsive. Right now, the unresponsive 14 are ones that are marked unresponsive because they had been unresponsive for like multiple release cycles. And then the pending are people who weren't responsive this release cycle, but those 30 have not responded at all this release cycle. So we have about 44, but a third of them didn't respond at all this time around. So yeah, I mean, I think we're in good shape. Like we have actually a good number of tracked, and I think, a good number of the at-risk are going to go in as well. So tomorrow's the deadline, and I guess we'll see what happens, see how it all pans out.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to send a notice today, just reminding people of the enhancement freeze tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
That'd be super helpful. Of the at-risk ones, would it be worthwhile for us to try to help get some reviews for those things? I assume if they have PRs open, they're just waiting for.
I mean, they're people who can get reviews, I think.
Okay.
Like basically the ones that have PRs up right now, like especially the newer PRs, are definitely people who can get reviews for their PRs if they want them, and there's like a lot of motion around some of them. So okay. I don't personally think that there's a lot of people that need a lot of help getting reviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds great. I think that that number of 39 so far is it looks pretty good, I think, compared to the last few cycles.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah, especially in like this kind of short, condensed period. Maybe the extended 119 time frame helped people get stuff in.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be more than 39. It'll probably be like 44, 45. So yeah, there's a lot of action this release cycle. So
nice. Thank you so much for that update. Any questions for enhancements before we move on? All right. Thank you so much, Kirsten. Next, we'll go to CI Signal with Rob.
Hi. So lots of reports today. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, so I've been making some good progress on automating the reporting. So I've thrown a link into a partially generated report in Sheets there. On that, there's 2 pivot tables that I've manually put together today. But in terms of the progress on automating the reporting, the first 2 sheets for the blocking jobs and the informing jobs are generated from data that I'm working on a fork of test infra. So on my test infra fork, I have a flake tracker branch that I am hoping to submit a PR to drop it into the experiments folder in test infra. So it won't be supported by test infra. It's a kind of a place for experiments. So that's been my focus over the last few days on the board. I'm kind of calling this where we're at as kind of red at the moment because we have a lot of noise in our signal. A large portion of that noise is owing to a failure to extract Kubernetes binaries before tests kick off. So that's causing a lot of jobs to be flaky. And as a team, we're kind of working through possible root causes and possible mitigations and workarounds. Essentially, we have a curl that's failing because of possibly because of a weird open SSL issue. And given that we're pulling down files from a GCP bucket, the workaround that we'll probably go with is to use GS utils instead of curl. So that's something I want to discuss today and get that fixed up this week. So so across master blocking we have 9 flaking and 9 passing jobs, and then I have 9 flaking jobs on master informing. And there's a couple of items on that list that I need to look at it there as well, in terms of the 1.20 blocking and 1.20 informing jobs. I don't know if they're created, and I've not looked at that, so I'll look at that this week.
Great, thank you. So most of the failures you think are related to that 19386 issue in test info?
Yeah,
okay.
It's a lot of noise that we need to get rid of. We haven't done full root cause analysis on it yet, but in terms of how the change on the CI infrastructure that brought this about, so we haven't done that level of digging, but I don't think any of us have time or the access to do that, or CA, and so. But we're reasonably confident that if we either upgrade curl or work around it, we should be good, and then we can get down to normal business.
Cool, thanks. I took a note. I'll watch the issue as it unfolds.
Yeah,
and I see in chat that Eddie said that he's going to work with Joyce to make her first PR to switch to GS utils. So that'll be awesome.
I was going to suggest, I'm going to suggest that, but yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that'll be brilliant. Yeah, cool. Yeah, the two of them have been great, and Dan has been great as well in stepping in. And yeah, it's been great teamwork. It's a beautiful issue.
A beautiful issue. I love that. All right, thank you so much for that. Is there anything that you need in addition to that, or it sounds like you guys have it pretty much under control?
Yeah, if anyone is interested to take a look at that Google sheet and wade through it, it's not quite as I want it to be. It's not how that automated report. It's not the final home for that automated report, and I have ideas in that. But it's a temporary home for the report.
Okay.
But it's fresh, it's new. It may contain bugs, so any feedback I'd appreciate.
Okay, thanks. I'll take an action to go look at that too.
One other quick note, we think we figured out what caused this. They upgraded all the worker nodes to like 116 from 114 or 15, and that appears to have introduced network instability. So, yay.
Yeah, if we go cloud native on it and just say bye-bye to curl, I think that might be the best thing to do. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much for that update. Any questions for CI Signal? I see another message in chat. Nico asked Rob, can you add him and Jorge in that PR?
Yeah, sure. Will do. Yes.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Thank you. All right. Thanks for that super detailed update. Moving on, let's hear from Bug Triage.
Hey. We are green, not much change going on important, soon, critical, urgent, and overall the issues that we are tracking. So we are only down 3 PRs from 58 to 55 for 120. We've distributed release team meeting reports over the next 2 months between shadows. So I will be only serving as backup moving forward. Other than that, pretty much it.
Cool, thank you so much. Any questions for Bug Triage? All right, moving on to Docs. Looks like Kristen's gonna give us an update today.
Hi, this is Kristen, Docs Shadow for 120, and our current status is green. I created a PR to merge master into the dev 120 branch to keep it in sync. And between the time I wrote this update and now, it's already been merged. So yay. And we did assign all the enhancements to our team members, to all the shadows, and we'll start tracking those this week after enhancements freeze. And that's it for docs this week. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you for that update. Any questions for docs? All right. Awesome. Let's move on to release notes.
Hi, Jackie here. Release note shadow. Our status is green. Last week we had shadow onboarding, so onboarded all the shadows. We also merged the release notes for Kubernetes 1.2.0 Alpha 1. And this week we'll start reviewing all the notes using the new fix command this week.
Cool, great. That the orientation was cool to sit through. I hadn't had much exposure to release notes, so it was cool to see that. Any questions for the release notes team? All right, moving on to comms.
So comms this week, we are green. We're still tracking enhancements and reviewing for potential blog and release blog and feature blog posts. We also added a new team member since last week, Xander Gravinsky. Xander, do you want to unmute yourself and give us an introduction?
Sure. I'm Xander. Nice to see so many familiar faces here. I work at Apple, previously HashiCorp. Been kind of in like the Kubernetes community doing Kubernetes adjacent stuff for a while, but this is my first time on a release cycle. So super excited to be here and get the chance to work with all you folks.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's about it from release comms for this week.
Cool. Thanks for the update and welcome, Xander. We're happy to have you. Next up is release branch management. Marco couldn't make it today, and basically there's no real update there except next week they are still planning on cutting the Alpha 2 release. That'll happen on the 13th. So just stay tuned for that. And release notes, you guys can kind of watch that and see how it goes. Next up, Emeritus Lead, Vlaki.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. I want to first say it's great to see so many shadows giving updates already. If you're a shadow, you can give updates in here too. Just talk with your lead and feel free to give updates. So for those shadows who are already giving updates, great. I'm excited to see many more. First thing is, as we all know, shadow selection has been completed. What I would like to happen is we did the shadow orientation as a team last Thursday. I conducted one. I'm going to try and get the recording to that, and I will send it out to everybody who couldn't make it. Feel free to have take a look at that and ping me with any questions you may have. And you should be having orientations with each of your teams. I know I heard an update from release notes. So if you haven't had an orientation, the lead should be orientating and bringing you on board as a set of shadows. So that'll be time for you to meet your lead and other shadows and figure out how you're going to be working throughout this cycle. If you haven't done that, ping your lead. And if you have any troubles getting that scheduled, I'm happy to help. That's all the updates I have for now. Thanks, Jeremy.
Great. Thanks, Lucky. Any questions for Lucky? Nope. Okay. Moving on. If you have any questions during this time, I'll just mention again, feel free to reach out to me or feel free to reach out to Lucky. Both of us are happy to answer any of those questions as we go. Next up, my update. This week is obviously enhancement freeze, as we mentioned. So we'll have a good idea about what things are going to land in the release, hopefully after tomorrow. Obviously things can fall out by code freeze, which would be the next major milestone after that on November 12th. And we're still shooting for December 8th as our release date. One small update, we sent a doodle out last week to kind of collect times that would be good for having a more Asia Pacific, maybe Europe friendly time. We didn't get a ton of responses on it, but the time that ended up winning is essentially 6 a.m. Mountain Time, 5:30 p.m. in India. So kind of, across the time zones there. So like 2 o'clock-ish, I think in Berlin, Central European time. So we'll send a meeting invite out for that. And we'll ping just to kind of coordinate how we do asynchronous updates and just ensure we have continuity between those meetings. And then we'll revisit it after a couple of weeks to see how it's going. If nobody is attending, then we'll just cancel that and come back to one meeting. But we'll see how this goes. So be on the lookout for an update there sometime today. And that's about it for me. We don't have an update from scalability. It's pretty early in the cycle, so there's not a whole lot of changes. Lori, do you have anything you want to bring up?
Just the retro items. I think we've gone through all of the old retro items now through our efficient Slack thread mechanism.
Okay.
The 119 retro items, though, I think we talked about these last week. We said something, but I looked in the agenda and I didn't see what that something was. I think we need to make those action items, if I recall correctly.
I took an action to do that and didn't get a chance to, so I'll work through that today.
Okay. I can help if you need it.
Yeah, I'll ping you.
And that's it for me.
All right, great. Open discussion. Anybody have anything they want to bring up? One thing to just come back to, as we're going through the cycle, if you have any items that you think would be great areas for improvement or things that we're doing really well right now, please add them to the retro doc, which is linked in the open discussion section. I think that it just helps to have a nice solid agenda when the retro actually comes around. And I think having those things in mind, having them fresh in your mind is great. So when you think of them, please add them to the doc so we don't forget and miss anything great. Next up, we can just walk through the board real quick and see if there's been any major updates. We won't walk through every single item, but we'll look at the major ones. Let me share my screen. All right, let's get rid of this thing. Anything done? We cleaned up the owner aliases. It was just a small thing that hadn't been done in the first week of the release. All of the leads should be added, so you should be getting additional pings for reviews for things that go into SIG release. Any other items anybody wants to mention? I did have one for adding the CNCF inclusive speaker training as a requirement for the lead onboarding. So there's a PR open for that, and we're just waiting for the rest of the lead team to go through and complete that training just to make sure. We wanted to make sure we were in sync with what the requirement was for the SIG chairs and the tech leads. So I think this is a PR that's ready to go. It's in progress, just waiting for the rest of us to complete that training. Anything else that you think we should look at in here, Lori? Anything new in the backlog?
Just that about an hour ago, I had a chat with the release leads about CS Signal and what we want to do there. So I hope we will have a plan to present to everyone soon. Like,
okay.
we have it, we just need to all sign off on it. So that would, if you're into CS Signal or Shadow, then you might want to check in just with me and Jorge if you don't hear from us in a couple days. And then in terms of everything else, I know we talked about the exception SAML files meeting item last Tuesday. Do you want to share anything there?
Yeah, I think that's dependent on us pushing forward with the changes to the enhancements process that we're collectively calling the receipts system.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that, I think, we're going to move away from some of this, the enhancements team pinging away. What's the status of this? Are you going to be in 120 or not? To a more explicit, people have to move, make a PR to put something into the release. And I think as we work through that process, we can define what this one looks like. So I think we should move this one out of the release team board for now until we define what that process looks like.
Yeah, makes sense. And just in the release notes channel, we talked about KEP's website. So basically that being an objective for 120, like being able to have a website with the KEPs that you could query by author, status, etc. So if you are interested in that topic, go to the release notes channel, and there's a thread from Friday where you'll see some folks pinging in suggestions how it actually, how to do it.
I'll grab a link to that and drop it into SIG release just so we can cross-pollinate and make sure people see it.
Yeah, I can actually do that now too.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
Cool. Well, I think we can end a little early today and give people some time back to work towards enhancements freeze or anything else they're working on. Unless anybody has anything they want to bring up now. Great. Well, have a great Monday, whatever's left of it for you, and we'll see you on the internet.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, Jeremy. Happy Monday, everyone.
Happy Monday, everyone.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.